Hi, I'm Scott,
I'm Matt, hi.
and we're from HireWindow, and today we're talking about interview nerves and how students can handle those interview nerves.
Yeah.
So I think probably the first thing to say is that actually interview nerves are okay.
Completely. Look, it's quite a strange situation, I think, to find yourself in an interview. One of the things that I found really, really useful, both at the beginning of my career for myself, and actually during the process of working in recruitment, and kind of helping candidates manage the fact that they feel that interviews are nerve-wracking and sort of potentially very daunting, is to stop thinking about them as interviews and actually think about them as meetings instead. And sometimes that rephrasing and reframing it in your own mind can be really, really powerful. But yeah, look, it's really, really is okay to be nervous before an interview, particularly if you are a student or a recent graduate at the very beginning of your career. It can feel like the world revolves around this one job interview, and you'll never get another one. And if you screw it up, then terrible things are going to happen. And I guess you're not very practiced as well at having interviews. And obviously, the further you get into your career, the more used to it you get. So it's completely fine to be nervous for sure.
Like you said, it really is a case of practice makes perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more interviews you do, the further into your career you get, the more comfortable you'll be doing them.
Completely, and I think that that there is no substitute for a bit of practice with these things, and that is what it is. You're not necessarily going to want to take 50 mock interviews before you go out and start searching for a job, but you can kind of prepare yourself in a different way. Obviously, do your research, make sure you understand the job, make sure you're really familiar with your own CV and all the rest of it, and that level of preparation. Getting that level of preparation right will really ease those nerves off, and there's a balance to that as well. You can definitely go too far because you can start obsessing over things, you can start overloading your brain, you can start basically winding yourself up essentially. So getting that balance right. I always say to people, don't be sat in a lot of people go and sit in a coffee shop before an interview, drinking a coffee, trying to get kind of hyped up, reading over their notes. Actually, the best thing to do before an interview is probably to go and drink a non-caffeinated drink somewhere and relax for an hour and be a little bit more peaceful when you head into the room in the first place. Otherwise, you're already a little bit on edge. So that's one of my top tips for interviews.
Yeah, I think it's spot on with that. From my experience, some interviews where I've gone somewhere and sat for an hour and looked over my notes actually isn't that helpful. Whereas ones where I've maybe had to rush to meet someone in my lunchtime, or where you haven't actually got time to worry, is actually where it's better. You're less nervous.
I think ultimately it leads to you being yourself more as well, and that's a really important aspect of an interview. It's important for both parties. I think that the reality of it is that if you feel that during an interview you need to put on some kind of performance and persuade the interviewer that you're something you're maybe not, that's not really a good start. You're not going to end up being successful in that role. Maybe you shouldn't have applied to it in the first place. So, you want to give a good account of yourself. You definitely. There's no point pretending that people don't put on a bit of an act in interviews, because of course they do. But you definitely don't want to tip that too far. You want to give something that is pretty close to a perfect reflection of who you actually are, what you know, what you understand, what you want to achieve, and all the rest of it. And ultimately, that's going to help you make sure you end up in a job that suits you, rather than in a job that suits the version of you that you put forward at interview.
I think it's always important to remember that if you've got to an interview, you've already kind of done the tick box exercise with your CV or application to say, I've got these skills, or I've done this work. So an interview really is, obviously they'll ask you probing questions about the role, but to meet you, understand the fit and that type of thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, recruitment teams, hiring managers and all the rest of it, they don't have unlimited amount of time on their hands, and so if they've chosen to meet you, they have chosen to meet you for a reason. And I think again, this is something that I know that students that I've spoken to struggle with sometimes. Recent graduates, basically people really early in their career, is they kind of have a weird sense of, why do they want to meet me, almost, and that's the place that they start from. It's like, why does this person want to meet me? That job's too good for me, or something like that. But in reality, if you've got through to interview, probably realistic to say that for a good chunk of the time you can do the job, because you passed that first screening, as you said. And there might even have been a fair few steps before face-to-face interview anyway, particularly for graduate jobs. So yeah, I mean, yeah, go in there with an open mind, but definitely feeling that you deserve to be where you are.
Is it a recruiter's not meeting you for the fun of it?
No, they're not.
You know.
No. They'd rather waste their time doing something else more entertaining, LinkedIn, social media, I'm sure.
Have you got any final tips for students who might be nervous for an interview and how to handle those nerves?
Yeah, I think what would a good final tip be for someone who's really suffering from interview nerves? I think I would go back to the first thing I said, which is to reframe it as a meeting. Stop thinking about it as an interview, and definitely realise that it's as much a process for you as it is for the recruiter and the employer. It's as much about you finding out more about the company, understanding more about the job, as it is putting yourself forward for it and sort of telling people about you. It's an amazing opportunity to meet someone who obviously works for the business, understand more about the job and the culture and the environment that you'd be working in, have a look at the offices and all the rest of it. So try and just reframe it in your mind away from being some kind of examination of you as a person and your worth, and just more of a kind of exploratory meeting for both parties to understand if there's a good fit there.
There's been a slight rephrasing, I think, in recent years of even that invitation to an interview. Quite often now someone will say, do you want to come in for a chat?
Yeah, completely. And that's, I think that's a good way to frame things quite often, because it doesn't have to be that formal in a lot of organisations, and you can really get away with it being a half hour, maybe just a half hour initial chat over coffee. That kind of thing is much more common these days as well. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful though for people really suffering from interview nerves.
Yeah, definitely. And there's lots more information like this on our sort of Instagram page, YouTube, and our blog as well. And if you're searching for a STEM grad job or internship, sign up to HireWindow.com.
Thanks, guys.